Lake Winnipesaukee is the largest lake in the U.S. state of New Hampshire, located in the Lakes region. It is approximately 21 miles long and from 1 to 9 miles wide, covering 69 square miles, 71 square miles when Paugus Bay is included, with a maximum depth of 212 feet. The center area of the lake is called the Broads. The lake contains at least 258 islands, half of which are less than a quarter acre in size, and is indented by several peninsulas, yielding a total shoreline of approximately 288 miles. The driving distance around the lake is 63 miles. It is 504 feet above sea level. Winnipesaukee is the third largest lake in New England after Lake Champlain and Moosehead Lake. Outflow is regulated by the Lakeport Dam in Lakeport, New Hampshire, on the Winnipesaukee River. History. Lake Winnipesaukee has been a popular tourist destination for more than a century, particularly among residents seeking a safe haven from the summer heat of Boston and New York City. The Native American name Winnipesaukee means either "smile of the Great Spirit" or "beautiful water in a high place." At the outlet of the lake, the Winnipesaukee Indians, a subtribe of the Pennacook, lived and fished at a village called Aqueduct-In. Today, the site is called the Weirs, named for the Weirs colonists discovered when first exploring the region. Winnipesaukee is a glacial lake, but an unusual one, since the last glaciation actually reversed the flow of its waters, draining the central portion of New Hampshire. It once flowed southeast, leaving via what is now Alton Bay toward the Atlantic Ocean. When glacial debris blocked this path, flow was redirected westward through Paugus Bay into the Winnipesaukee River. The latter flows west from the lake and joins the Pemigewasset River in Franklin to form the Merrimack River, which flows south to Massachusetts and into the Atlantic. Center Harbor witnessed the first intercollegiate sporting event in the United States, as Harvard defeated Yale by 2 lengths in the first Harvard-Yale regatta on August 3, 1852. The outcome was repeated 100 years later when the school celebrated the centennial of the race by again competing on Lake Winnipesaukee. Lake Winnipesaukee was also where the eponymous Lake Winnipesaukee Mystery Stone was found. Cities and towns. The communities that surround the lake, clockwise from the southernmost town, are Alton, the largest town by area in the Lakes region; Guilford, home to Gunstock Mountain Resort and Bank of New Hampshire Pavilion at Meadowbrook, a popular New Hampshire concert venue; Laconia, the main commercial city on the lake. Included in Laconia is Weirs Beach, the largest public bathing area on Winnipesaukee. Every year Laconia is home to Bike Week, attracting tens of thousands of motorcyclists to the area. Meredith, whose harbor lies on the northwestern reach of the lake. Center Harbor, a small town in Belknap County which serves as the winter home for the MS Mount Washington. Moultonborough, with its castle in the clouds, an estate atop a small mountain. Tuftonborough, which contains the communities of Melvin Village and Mirror Lake. Wolfborough, which bills itself as the oldest summer resort in America. Divisions of the lake. The lake consists of a wide, relatively open central region known as the Broads, surrounded by several large bays, as well as many smaller inlets. The main sections of the lake are the Broads. The Broads are a wide portion of Lake Winnipesaukee, largely in Belknap County and extending slightly into Carroll County. It is a large island-free zone occupying the center of the lake. It was named after the Broads, in England. The daytime speed limit for boats on the Broads is 45 miles per hour. Running along the main axis of the lake, the northwestern tip of the Broads is at the town of Center Harbor, while the southeastern end lies between the towns of Alton and Wolfborough. Meredith Bay. Meredith Bay lies at the western edge of Winnipesaukee. At the northern tip of Meredith Bay is the main village of the town of Meredith. Paugus Bay branches off to the south of Meredith Bay at Weirs Beach, near to where Meredith Bay joins the main body of the lake. Meredith Bay is separated from the Broads by a relatively narrow strait bordered by Governor's Island to the south and Stone Dam Island to the north. The northeastern shore of Meredith Bay is a long peninsula known as Meredith Neck. Paugus Bay, formerly a hydrologically distinct lake, Paugus Bay became joined to Winnipesaukee when the dam at Lakeport was constructed, raising the surface of Paugus Bay to be contiguous with Winnipesaukee. Paugus Bay joins the main lake in Meredith Bay, running south from a narrow channel connecting it to Meredith Bay. At the northern end of Paugus Bay, where it joins the main lake, is Weirs Beach, the largest and most visited public beach on the lake. At the other end is the village of Lakeport. Both Weirs Beach and Lakeport are villages within the town of Laconia. The eastern shore of the bay is closely followed by U.S. Route 3 and has numerous motels, hotels, inns, and bungalow complexes. The western shore is much less developed. Alton Bay is a narrow bay which runs due south from the southern corner of the main lake. It lies entirely within the town of Alton. The village of Alton Bay lies at the extreme southern tip. Wolfboro Bay. Wolfboro Bay is a relatively small wide bay lying in the town of Wolfboro, creating a small northerly bulge in the shoreline to the eastern edge of Winnipesaukee. A series of smaller lakes and streams connects Wolfboro Bay to Lake Wentworth. Wind Harbor. Wind Harbor is a Y-shaped bay with two branches, separated from the Broads by Wolfboro Neck and Tuftonboro Neck. Wind Harbor is surrounded by many quiet resort communities in the towns of Wolfboro and Tuftonboro. A small stream connects Wind Harbor to Mirror Lake at the northern tip of the western branch. Moultonborough Bay. The longest bay on Winnipesaukee is Moultonborough Bay. It is connected to the Broads by some narrow straits running between a cluster of islands including Long Island, Cow Island, Little Bear Island, Sandy Island, and dozens of smaller islands and islets. The 7-mile-long Moultonborough Neck separates the length of the bay from the main axis of the lake, and the Sweetservale development in the town of Moultonborough is at the northern tip of the bay. Melvin Village. The main lakeside village of the town of Tuftonboro lies along the northeastern shore of the bay, closer to where it joins the Broads Islands. There are at least 258 natural islands on Lake Winnipesaukee that are at least 3 feet above lake level and contain vegetation, about 130 of which are over 25 acres in size. 26 of these are 25 acres or larger. Long Island, 1,186 acres. Bear Island, 780 acres. Cow Island, 522 acres. Governor's Island, 504 acres. Rattlesnake Island, 368 acres. Welch Island, 187 acres. Little Bear Island, 143 acres. Stone Dam Island, 141 acres. Timber Island, 136 acres. Sleepers Island, 113 acres. Mark Island, 102 acres. Black Island, 90 acres. Barn Door Island, 88 acres. Black Cat Island, 75 acres. Pine Island, 74 acres. Whortleberry Island, 69 acres. Sandy Island, 67 acres. Jolly Island, 50 acres. 3 Mile Island, 47 acres. Round Island, 43 acres. Logs Island, 42 acres. Diamond Island, 37 acres. Dow Island, 32 acres. Big Beaver Island, 30 acres. Camp Island, 28 acres. Mink Island, 26 acres. Birch Island, 25 acres. 6 islands are connected to the mainland by bridges in Paugus Bay and Worcester, and another 8 are served by the U.S. mailboat Winnipesaukee Lakes Region, along with the rest of New Hampshire's Lakes Region, which also encompasses Lake Winnipesaukee, Lake Wentworth, Squam Lake and Newfound Lake. Winnipesaukee has been a vacation community for at least a century, particularly drawing people from the Boston region. The area is home to numerous summer theater troupes and offers a variety of land and water recreational activities. There are numerous hiking trails in and around the surrounding mountains, which include the Ossipee Mountains to the east, the Belknap Range to the west, and Red Hill to the north. Steamship Mount Washington and her successor, the paddle steamer MS Mount Washington, named after the highest of New Hampshire's White Mountains, was launched in spring 1872 to carry mail, goods, and passengers on Lake Winnipesaukee, under the flag of the Boston and Maine Railroad. With a hull length of 178 feet on a beam of 49 feet, she appeared as a typical representative of the North American sidewheelers around the second half of the century, and was the largest steamer on the lake at the time. The huge paddle wheels were driven by a single-cylinder steam engine of 450 horsepower at approximately 26 revolutions per minute. The power was transferred from the vertical single-cylinder to the wheel shaft by the walking beam high above the upper deck, oscillating in the frequency of the paddle wheels. Known as the Mound, her kitchen and restaurant service became famous. On December 23, 1939, a nearby railroad station caught fire from an overheated stove. The fire soon spread to the ship tied at the dock, and destroyed it. Efforts to cut Mount Washington loose were to no avail, as it was a time of extremely low water and the hull was stuck fast in the mud of the lake bottom. Soon after, a local company was formed to build a new ship. Since Europe was already at war, obtaining steel was impossible. Instead, they purchased an old sidewheel vessel on Lake Champlain, the Chateauguay, a 203-foot iron-hulled sidewheeler that was being used as a clubhouse for the Burlington Yacht Club. It was cut into sections and transported to Lake Winnipesaukee on rail cars. A new twin-screw vessel was designed for the hull being welded back together at Lakeport, powered by 2 steam engines taken from another ocean-going yacht. The new MS Mount Washington made her maiden voyage on August 15, 1940. 2 years after her launch, the new Mount Washington's engines were removed for use in a Navy vessel during World War II. After the war, Mount Washington returned to the water. The ship was a success in the post-war tourist boom. In 1982, Mount Washington was cut open and extended with an additional 20-foot hull section to add larger lounge and food service facilities. Still popular, she makes 1 or 2 round trips on the lake per day during the summer season, as well as numerous dinner dance cruises in the evenings. U.S. mailboat Winnipesaukee. The Winnipesaukee is the oldest, and one of only 2 currently operating, floating United States Postal Service post offices. Floating post office service was started on Lake Winnipesaukee in 1892, and currently delivers mail daily to 8 of the lake's islands between June and September. As a floating post office, Winnipesaukee delivers mail Monday to Saturday, sells postage, and collects and postmarks outgoing mail. Winnipesaukee also operates as a sightseeing boat, carrying up to 125 people on her 2 cruises a day as she delivers mail, and sells ice cream and snacks to residents of the islands she serves. Seaplane Base. The Alton Bay Seaplane Base is a state-owned, public-use seaplane base in Alton Bay at the southeast arm of the lake. In the winter, it is the only FAA-approved ice runway in the contiguous United States, conditions permitting. Weather and climate. Average summertime on or next to the water brings days around 80 degrees Fahrenheit, with overnight lows around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Less than 1/2 mile away from the water, days can be warmer and nights cooler by several degrees. Summer's most extreme temperatures away from the water may be as high as 100 degrees Fahrenheit and as low as 50 degrees Fahrenheit. A typical winter day brings a maximum of 28 degrees Fahrenheit with overnight minimum around 15 degrees Fahrenheit. Typical wintertime extremes of 50 degrees Fahrenheit and -20 degrees Fahrenheit, but even greater extremes have been recorded nearby. The water temperature typically reaches the upper 70s in late July and cools into the 60s in September. Several days of hot, humid weather at the height of summer can bring the water temperature well above 80 degrees Fahrenheit. It normally freezes during the last week of December. Ice thickness during a typical winter can be in excess of 18 inches in many parts of the lake. Ice out. Lake Winnipesaukee is known for its annual Ice Out contest, in which people try to guess the earliest date that the Mount Washington can safely leave her port in Center Harbor and motor to 4 other ports. Since records began in 1851, Ice Out has happened as early as March 18th and as late as May 12th, although 90% of the time it is declared during April. This official ruling is made by David Emerson of Emerson Aviation. In popular culture and the arts, Thornton Wilder's 1938 Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Our Town, refers to Lake Winnipesaukee at the beginning of Act 3. In Of Three Stooges' 1940 short No Census, No Feeling, the Stooges of census takers, and Curly answers a query about his birthplace with Lake Winnipesaukee. When Mo asks him to spell it, he switches course and says, "Make it Lake Erie. I've got an uncle there." Some boating scenes from the 1981 Academy Award-winning film On Golden Pond were shot on the lake, though the main scenes were from nearby Squam Lake. In 1982, composer Alan Hovhaness, who spent much of his childhood in New Hampshire, composed Lake Winnipesaukee, Op. 363, a sextet for flute, oboe, cello, 2 percussion, and piano. The 1991 movie comedy What About Bob was set at Lake Winnipesaukee, although the actual filming was done at Smith Mountain Lake in Virginia. The 2006 comedy Click has a flashback depicting Adam Sandler as a kid playing on a beach on Lake Winnipesaukee. In the debut of Adam Sandler's Thanksgiving song on Saturday Night Live, the longtime New Hampshire resident sings, "I used to go to camp at Lake Winnipesaukee.